Welcome to the channel, folks. So today is going to be a review of the Kong Dual Idler for LS9. Now, I'm really happy this product actually came out because it's the first device to improve belt wrap for an LS9. So that's really important if you're encountering and you're running high boost. I'm talking about anything mid-20s. Otherwise, the factory OEM tensioner will be fine with the proper belt and proper tension. But if you want to improve the belt wrap and basically make your belt last longer because there's going to be less belt slip and belt erosion, adding this to your car is going to help that a lot. Your belts will last longer. And I basically want to just show you guys kind of the basic function. There's really no instructions with this. It's very self-explanatory. It mounts just like the OEM tensioner. You will have to use a longer belt. I will be using a 92.4 belt to start off with and see how far I get and see if the logs look good. But overall, it's a really nice unit. It's well machined, really impressive work on this. I just really hope in the future it comes out in like a black anodized as well as the pulleys being anodized, because this is all just raw aluminum finish. And I've heard stories of this pulley leaving galling and rubbing off onto the belt itself. So that's also a possibility. It does have some texture to it, if you can hear that. So it has some teeth to it. So I may actually go ahead and polish this pulley idler out. Not so much this one, but this one here, just to get rid of that roughness and basically to mitigate the belt turning silver as it breaks in. So that's just something I'm going to do. You don't have to do that. It's probably most likely fine the way it is. 3 bolts bolted on, and then this extra thread here, this M8 thread, is actually for a stop when you have this fully extended. So when you're installing the belt, this is a stop. You install this here. This is not included. I basically picked this out of the workshop and I made it. And essentially you insert this here and it will thread in to the M8 thread there. I'm just doing it backwards just to show you right now. But you get the idea. It will hold the tensioner open so you can install the belt on the car. So once you have that thing extended, retract it all the way back, go ahead and thread it in, and it basically will hold the tensioner open. And this bolt right here, this Torx Plus 30, is actually to limit the travel in both ways, according to Greg. So do not touch this black bolt here. It is nothing for you to worry about. So leave that there. Don't mess with it. So the install should be pretty simple. But before that, I want to actually measure these and show you guys what these measure out to. So we have about 58.5 millimeters on the smooth idler, and on the major diameter of the grooved pulley, it's about the same, 58.5. So they're not 50 millimeter pulleys, they're 58s. So what does that mean? What it means is that smaller pulleys are going to be spun faster, a lot faster than a larger counterpart. So the bearings will actually heat up faster and maybe not last as long. So this one here comes with a 3-year warranty. The previous generation of Kong tensioner, which I don't think is sold anymore, which was not a dual idler, it was just this, a replacement for an OEM that had 50% more tension. That had a lifetime warranty, but this only has 3-year warranty, maybe because of that reason. It has to use a smaller idler, which, if you're familiar with the LS9 platform, a smaller idler is not a good thing because they tend to blow up. I'm not saying this will, but it might be a good thing in the future to upgrade these bearings to ceramic bearings if you're going to be doing a lot of high RPM stuff and the blower spun in overdrive a lot. So if you're using a 2.20 pulley, which I am right now in this new setup, I kind of almost need this because at high RPM, like 6,500, it was showing on the logs that I was having belt slip, and I have the tensioner already maxed out, and I'm using a Gates RPM belt, so that's applying as much tension and as well as not stretching. I should say, rather, the belt itself is the stiffest belt you can possibly get, even stiffer than the green belt, if you don't know that. But I'm going to be starting off with this belt here. So I want to see how it does with a standard Micro V. This is a high-quality belt. This is a 12 rib, so you guys obviously know that you need to trim off one rib off of this to make it work, because our cars are 11 rib. But I'm going to be starting off with this. I want to see how it does with a standard belt, because this belt is a lot cheaper than the RPM version or the green Gates belt, the Fleet Runner belt, which is a heavy-duty belt. It's essentially not really a supercharger belt. The RPM belt is designed specifically for superchargers, and I've had great luck with those belts in the past. But the Gates RPM belt for this size here is a lot of money. It's like twice as much as this. So I'm going to start off with this, see what I get. I'm going to make some logs with it, do some driving with it, see how it does under high boost, high RPM. So this belt right here technically should be okay with the addition of that 55 degrees more of belt wrap. So that there should take care of any slippage issues regardless of belt used. So there is a good thing about using this kind of belt, is that it's a more pliable and it's not as stiff, but it will stretch. So that's, you have to take that into consideration. It will stretch, but what it's good at is that doing stuff like this. Multiple 180 turns. Okay, so if you have multiple sharp 180 turns, which this is going to apply to it, this belt is good for that. It's going to excel at really tight turns and things like that because it's more flexible. But the trade-off is more stretch. So we'll see over time what this does. This is the size that's recommended, but my blower sits a ½ inch taller for undisclosed reasons. So I want to see if this actually works. We'll see. So when I install this, we'll go from there. All right, so here is a typical setup on an LS9. And as you can see, that is the type of belt wrap you get. You get less than 180, maybe about 170, probably. So for most setups, that right there is fine with the OEM tensioner that's working and applying proper tension. But when you step into these stainless steel, smaller pulleys like the 2.20 like you have here, they can be a headache because you might not get the belt wrap that you need and the grip that you need. So the reason why you get belt slip is because the higher the boost you run, the blower actually requires more power to drive it. So if you're going to run higher boost, it's going to be more of a load on the engine, and typically, you need to account for that somehow. So increasing the belt wrap in that case is going to help drive the blower even when it's making high boost, and technically it's not being as efficient. It's all a matter of if you can drive it. That's why higher boost setups, they run a cog drive, because it's a direct drive and it's toothed and it's actually splined, so it will drive it no matter what, and it won't slip because it's not a grooved type pulley. So you basically improve the belt grip. You can drive the blower at a higher boost level. So we'll see how that pans out. I'm going to go ahead now and start installing this and show you what the finished belt wrap looks like. All right, so stumbled upon the first issue, which is a minor issue, but other people have had the same issue, is that this pulley here touches the smaller coolant hose. So to remedy that, I'm actually going to trim this right here at the thermostat housing, trim the factory hose about 1 inch shorter so it can clear this. So if you don't know, when the thing's under boost and building boost, it actually will rotate clockwise like that. So as you can see, it will touch no matter what. Even if you have it set right there, it's still going to touch. So no matter where it is in the travel, it's still going to touch that OEM hose. So be mindful of that. You will have to trim this hose or come up with a different way to route that hose so it doesn't interfere and basically split open when you don't expect it. But that's a minor hiccup. I'm going to go ahead, like I said, and trim about an inch and a half off of that hose at the bottom there where it meets the thermostat housing port. And that should take care of it. Should give it clearance because it'll make it sit lower like that, and then it should have no issues. All right, so let me do that, and I'll update you guys. All right, so I want to go ahead and just demonstrate that stop. So I threaded in that M8 bolt to hold the tensioner open. That way, this will be the position to install the belt, and it still kind of touches here on the actual hose. Not really. There's probably about like 50 thousandths of clearance, but it's almost touching even in that position there. But I wanted to demonstrate the bolt in action holding the tensioner open. So there's a lot of tension on this tensioner, so I almost feel like that bolt should be actually an M10 bolt and not an M8 because it is kind of like putting a lot of stress at that angle since it's sticking out so far. But it's working. I just wanted to show you guys that. So I'm going to go ahead and install now the third bolt because you have to hold this open in order to install this because it's behind the tensioner. When you first install it, you can't get access to this third bolt hole. So you have to install the bolt. Now you can come in here and install this third fastener to take care of that and mount it properly. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll move on to the next step, which is installing the belt. Okay, so welcome back, guys. I'm on a separate day. I had to order a longer belt. I went with the 93-1. That's because my blower, like I said, sits half inch higher than the normal setups, even if you're running a 14% lower and a 2.20 pulley like I am on for the upper. So I had to go with a longer belt, same Micro V Gates belt. And this worked out great with the 76 millimeter idlers on both sides, passenger side and driver's side. So, like I said, my blower sits higher, but if you have just the standard height, and you have your standard kind of 14% and whatever pulley, 235 or whatever, most likely you'll be fine with the 92.5 length belt, which is a 92.5 at the end here. But anyways, moving along, I want to show you guys what I did to the car to modify the hose. As you can see now, there is plenty of clearance here at the grooved pulley. So I went ahead and trimmed off 1 whole inch off the thermostat side of the factory hose to get it to fully clear now, and everything is good to go. I have no worries of that thing slicing open now as this thing rotates under boost. So that's the recap. Everything looks good. Like I said, I had to get a longer belt, but everything's good to go now. I'm gonna go ahead and do some logs tomorrow and check out to see if this belt works out or if I have to go with a stiffer belt. So that's gonna be it for the video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, please place them right down below. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please go ahead and do so. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.